Hello everyone. Thank you for joining us for second part of our webinar, that is toilet training and autism. In the last session we have discussed about the challenges we can face when we plan a toilet training program for our children with autism, and we have also discussed about the important factors and important pointers that we should be considering while we plan any kind of toilet training program for our children with autism and other developmental disabilities. We have also discussed about the type of training program, that is trip training and schedule training, in which we have talked about the tools we can use while we plan our toilet training program for our children. In that we have discussed visual schedule. So in this second session, we will be discussing the types of schedule and uh, the types of schedule, and we will also be discussing the the specific kind of training program, that is habit training and intensive training, and how we can incorporate these two training program while we are planning the toileting program for our children. And we will also be discussing about the environmental condition that we should be considering, and the sensory issues that our children face during the session. Okay, so first we will be discussing about the visual schedule. In order to communicate the potty training process with your child, use visual schedule. Using the toilet is a task that is made up of a lot of little baby steps that all need to come together in the right order. By providing your child with visual schedule, you will help him to understand the process and become more independent. So it is best to customize visual schedule in three different ways. The first is master visual schedule. This is the schedule that outline your child's activities for the whole day. Add in the bathroom symbol based on the toilet trial schedule, and you have set up for your child. Also add in a reward visual to the schedule directly after the bathroom symbol. Okay, so next is the toilet schedule. uh, Place a special schedule in the bathroom that covers all the steps of using the toilet, like whatever steps is involved during the process. Put the picture according to those steps. Like you can see on the screen also, there is a picture of a child sitting on the toilet, and there is a picture of toilet paper, so you can use pictures like these. Next, we is the hygiene schedule, which include a special hygiene schedule in the bathroom that will help your child to master the step of washing his hands. For actions in the bathroom, you that your child like to repeat, for example, he might like repeating the flushing or soap pumping. Also, you can use only one picture exchange card, like he only required or he only need to pump it once, which can be either handed to the child, or you can also tape that particular picture on the toilet handle, or the pump of the bottle, or the handle of the flush, uh, like in a way. Make sure that the schedule are posted where your child can see them. And if your child does a step wrong in the process, for example, he begins to wash his hand before pulling his pants up, so do not simply restart the wrong action. uh, for example, do not begin pulling pant up. Instead, you go back to the last correct step that the child completed. um, for example, wipe again before having the child pull up his pants. So for that, children need to comprehend and communicate best using verbal or written words. So feel free to make schedule for them as well. This will simply remind them for the proper order of the step. Beside a verbal schedule to prompt your child, use the toilet. You can use a visual cue or the object exchange to indicate what you would like them to do. Next is how we should be communicating with our children. So if you're toilet training and uh, if you are toilet training a child with autism, it is very important to keep your communication as literal as possible. So, autistic children will often take the most literal meaning of the word. For example, if you use the term going to the bathroom to prompt your child to urinate or defecate, your child may think you are asking them to walk into the bathroom, but not actually eliminating. So, make sure your child comprehend the intended meaning of your prompt by pairing up your verbal cues with visual cues. Next is the assessment, uh, go through the following step. For each step, address whether or not your child is physically capable of completing the step, and if not, make the necessary environmental adjustment or talk to your child's physical therapist. For each step, also consider whether your child may have behavioral problem completing the step, and before you even begin the potty process, troubleshoot to avoid your child's tactile sensitivities or any behavioral problems. Also think of how you could use child's ability to get around any problems. This may mean being completely realistic and reassessing whether or not your child will be able to complete all the toilet training steps, right? And based on this assessment, you may need to modify the goals you had originally had in mind, and troubleshooting the examples have been added in the slide in the back brackets to certain step in the checklist. So you can see here are the some pointers that you can use as the assessment pointers, can indicate the need to go to the bathroom, can pull down the pants or underwear, can walk to the bathroom, like also he can he sit on the toilet, for example bag of the tactile toys offer to keep your child also busy. Can he relax enough to eliminate? So for that you can also you can use calming music that you can play in the bathroom, or you can also lower down uh, the like intensity of the lights. Also, can he wipe himself? If not, you can physically uh, help him in the wiping. Can he pull up his pants? Can he flush the toilet? If not, you can use visual cues taped to handle to indicate one flush only. And can he stand at the sink? If not, you can use the uh, steps tool if needed. Can he wash his hands? Example, sensory sensitivities, if there are some kind of sensitivities or not. So you can also use soap used instead of bar or the soap. You can also use wet wipes or hand sanitizer used instead of water, right? So it is also very important to consider the environmental condition in the bathroom. If your child doesn't feel comfortable in her environment, chances are no matter what potty program you use, it's not going to be successful. So modify your child's environment based on her sensitivities and likelihood of distraction. The following slides or the section offers suggestion how to change your child's environment to combat their sensitivities and likelihood of distraction. So here we can talk. We will be talking about some sensory consideration, like whether your child poorly respond to taking off the diaper. So if your child respond poorly, having his diaper removed or sitting on the toilet bare bottomed, consider the room temperature. After having the diaper almost every moment of the day, having it taken off can be a big sensory shock for your child. So try. Um increase the temperature in the bathroom, or buying a padded toilet seat that doesn't get so cold. And also, if changing temperature of the room doesn't work for your child, you may need to slowly transition your child out of having their diaper on. First have him get comfortable with the sitting on the toilet fully clothed, then you can have him sit on the toilet with his diaper on, and then also you have him sit on the toilet with his diaper, but diaper off but spread across the toilet hole, and finally take off his diaper completely removed, right? And next, there can be a situation where a child respond poorly to flushing the toilet. Many children are initially afraid of toilet, and in order to combat your child's toilet fear, try to figure out why it bother him or her so much. If she is visually sensitive to flushing the toilet, teach her to put down the toilet seat first. If she doesn't like the sound of the toilet flushing, toileting children with autism or other resources suggest that tape recording the flush noise, and let your child listen to it at a various volume levels. The same resource also suggests prompting your child to open the door before flushing in order to give her an immediate escape, allowing them to feel less trapped. If your child's flushing fear is getting in way, teach your child to potty train now and work on flushing later. Okay. Also, there will be a situation where your child seem to feel unstable on the toilet. For some children, especially children with autism, making a few minor changes in your child's environment may help him to feel more stable while on the toilet. Feel free to add grab bars around the toilet for him to hold on to, and buy a step tool so that he will have somewhere to place his feet. Placing a plastic table in front of your child may also help him to feel more stable by giving him somewhere to rest his arm. If your child benefit from the tactile stimulation, you can place toys on the table, or you can also add some books if he likes. However, never restrain him to the toilet. Okay, and child, there will be also a situation where child won't sit still long enough to go. Put together a bag. Put together a bag of toys or books that can keep your child distracted while she is on the toilet. For children with autism, this bag may include objects that will provide your child with some tactile distraction. And also, if your child find that your child if you find that your child seems stressed while on the toilet, use various calming techniques. You can use music, you can use some specific different shades of lights also. If your child relaxes when music is played, get a CD player to keep in the bathroom and try turning down the lights a bit. Okay, in order for your child to urinate or defecate, they must relax. It is very important that your child should feel relaxed in the environment of the bathroom. Think your child's strength by making a list of all the things that typically help her to calm down. If your child seems impatient sitting on the toilet or constantly ask how much longer she needs to sit, the best way is to get a visual timer and put it next to the toilet. This way, your child is constantly aware of the time and can concentrate more on eliminating and less on asking how much longer she must sit. Also, your child may feel or your child may have some kind of sensitivity to smell. There are a lot of smelly products in the bathroom, and most soap have very strong odor. So if you know that your child has a sensitivity to strong smell, check out hypoallergic bathroom products that are usually perfume free and make the bathroom a scent free zone. Also, you can ask other family members to put their perfume or use deodorant in their bedrooms only or in their rooms, so that the perfume are not unique to the bathroom. Sensitivity to feel the soap or toilet paper. Typically, the two main feeling that cause problem in the bathroom are the feeling of the soap and the feeling of the toilet paper. So, if your child doesn't like the feeling of the soap, you can try using bar or vice versa. If your child is still having some problem, try hand sanitizer or wet toiletries. And also, if your child doesn't like the feeling of the toilet paper, you can try wetting the paper with warm water or using the wet toiletries that have been run under the warm water. Right. So be aware that wet toiletries are often very cold. Um, Next is uh, child respond poorly wearing underwear. There are certain situations where your child doesn't like to remove the diaper and doesn't like to wear the underwear. So child respond poorly wearing underwear. For some children, the weight of the diaper become comforting. So if your child seem upset of having to wear underwear instead of a diaper, or panic when you take off the diaper, you may have to wean your child out of it. So in order to do this, you want to gradually take away the weight and the pressure the diaper creates. So there are certain ways you can do the ways to do this. Like first is the away method, in which you place the diaper over top to the top of the child's underwear and cut a small hole in the crotch of the underwear every day. Expand the hole, expand the hole, and the last part of the diaper remaining should be the waistband, because this provides the most deep pressure. Right. Next is the loosen method, in which you keep your child in the diapers, but put the child's underwear on underneath the diaper. Every day, make the diaper a little bit looser by not attaching it as tightly. Eventually, hardly do up the waistband at all so that the diaper falls off on its own. And typically, by this point, the child no longer feel bothered by the not wearing a diaper. Right. Next is mixed method, in which begin like mixed method is begin setting aside time in your child's day that he can spend without his diaper on. At first this may be for only few minutes. Gradually increase the time your child spend daily in underwear without a diaper on over top, or and also you use positive reinforcement. Next is slit method. Here you can cut a slit in the bottom of the child's diaper big enough that the child feces can fall through this into the toilet. Have the child use the toilet with her diaper on. Gradually make the hole bigger and bigger. Once the hole is fairly large, have your child put on his underwear underneath the diaper. Cut away the diaper until just the waistband is left and then get rid of it altogether. Okay, so next is bathroom distractions. For some children, being easily distracted can prolong the potty process. Overcome a child's tendency to become distracted easily by removing all known distraction from the potty training process right from the get to go. Okay, so this may uh, mean having to hide or remove object from the bathroom that may distract your child. For example, such as bath toys, or maybe toilet paper, or different soaps. So if possible, make potty trial one-on-one experience. Some children may be distracted by having too many people in the uh, room or having the door kept open, especially for like older children. Privacy can become important factor. So if your child seem nervous or embarrassed while in the bathroom, do all that you can to give him the privacy he needs to become comfortable. um, Never leave your child unattended on the toilet if they have special needs that may endanger him, or if he has any some sort of history of fecal smearing. Okay, so here next is relaxation. So there are some certain tips which we can consider so that your child to relax on the potty. Once on the potty, for example, you can use some calming music, read your child's favorite book. If your child is easily excited by chatting, keep conversation to a minimum. To help your child go, you can press gently on her lower abdomen. uh, you can also try turning on the water as long as he is not distracted by it. Some children have a habit of getting too excited and jumping off the toilet either mid pee or right after. So this can lead to dribbles or some kind, a certain accident on your bathroom floor. So after your child feels she is finished urinating, either count to 10 with them calmly and slowly, and before they get off the potty, or sing a special song together which he or she likes. So this will help you to make sure that she is completely emptied her bladder and she is ready to get off the toilet. Last you can do is place a table over child's lap while on the toilet, and you can also place some tactile toys that tend to calm him or her down. Dressing for success. It is very important during the toilet training to dress your child in clothing that can be taken off easily. During the training, your child has to hold back and wait eliminate until seated on the toilet. So for the first time ever, your child has had and actually have to stop himself from urinating or defecating immediately. At first, it can be hard for many children to hold back long enough to make it to the bathroom in the time. So, it becomes very important during the toilet training to dress your child in clothing that can be taken off easily. If this means you may have to sacrifice his style for a while, it's okay. Next is diaper versus pull ups versus underwear. So, there are many different opinions regarding whether diapers or pull-ups or underwear are best to use during the toilet training. Even the expert don't all agree with it. So potty training has no definitive answer. So instead you have to choose what's right for your child. It is always consider the child's comfortability. So whatever option you choose, remember to always change your child in the bathroom. This will help him develop the connection between elimination and the potty. Diapers. Okay, so diapers. No doubt, diapers make potty training very easy and less messy. Often necessary if your child goes to the school or daycare. Best for your child family that's busy and doesn't have the time to clean up constant messes. And also, what if you choose to keep your child in diaper? uh, Diapers are great for keeping messes to a minimum, but they don't allow your child to get the necessary feeling of being wet. So feeling wet help your child to understand that she is in control of elimination, right? Feeling wet can also motivate a child who prefer to be clean and dry to stay clean and dry, right? So if you are choosing to keep your child in diaper, set aside some time every day to allow her to create a feeling of being wet. If you are training your younger child, waterproof a section of your child's diaper and allow her to go bare bottomed for a short period of time every day. If you are training an older child, the place you can place a disposable non-absorbent liner in his diaper and prompt him every hour to check if he is dry or wet. Now, pull-ups. It is depending upon the type, they may allow your child to get a chance to feel a little bit wet. However, these are similar to diapers, so pull the moisture away and uh, fairly quickly. So it is easier to get on and off when rushing to the toilet. Pull-ups may give your child a feeling of being a big kid. However, most soon learn that pull-ups are very similar to diaper and that they can use them in the same way. Underwear. Now, underwear can provide the child with a feeling of wetness, which is very necessary for learning how to stay dry. And accident help your child to understand the difference between wet and dry. So accidents in the beginning can actually be very positive thing in the training of your child. um, So, if your child doesn't seem bothered by wetting or soiling her diaper, this is a good indicator that you should switch your child over to underwear. If you choose to change underwear, some children may have a problem switching from diaper to underwear, especially children with autism who find that diaper provide them with a comforting heavy feeling and deep pressure touch. So during the transition period, you can put diaper over top of your child's underwear. If he seems resistant to letting go of his diaper, this way your child can get the feeling of heaviness while learning what it feels like to be wet, because nighttime urine continence is acquired later than the daytime urine continence. Keeping your child in diaper at night is a good idea until you are ready to start nighttime training. Once your child is using underwear, it is very important to change them as soon as you notice they are wet. Your child may come to tolerate or prefer being in dirty or wet diaper if he is not changed frequently enough. So there are certain alternative plans that we can consider. Like first is habit training and intensive training. Now, what is habit training? Habit training works by setting up scheduled toilet trials based on your child's elimination pattern. Based on the opinion of toilet training individual with autism and other related disorder, habit training is most effective for children who has developmental age of 3 or younger, or has a developmental age of above 3 but hasn't responded to regular toilet training method or seems to have no awareness of needing to go. So habit training is not an overnight process, and it does require a lot of dedication and consistency. If you feel that your lifestyle would not be able to support a consistent longer term potty program, you may either want to consider intensive training or wait until more time opens for the potty training program. So the first step in getting ready for the habit training is the monitoring stage. Now, uh, monitoring stage. Most potty pros suggest monitoring your child's elimination pattern consistently for 2 weeks. If you feel if you feel your child's pattern are irregular during the monitoring due to stress or illness, continue the monitoring period for at least one additional for at least an additional 2 weeks. Use the chart in order to monitor your child urinating or defecating if you have prepared any chart. So uh, when you begin monitoring, if you have already started a potty trial, keep consistent. If you have not started any trial, do not begin them until you have finished the monitoring stage. So what are the steps included in the monitoring stage is check your child for dryness every half an hour or hour. If already toilet trained, don't stop. If not, don't start. Right? At night, don't wake your child up to just to check. Check in every morning. The first thing you do in the morning is to check his diaper, or just to check him whether he is dry or wet. If your child has already started toilet training, note if in the toilet or in the pants, right? So next, is it about the pee or poop? Like many children have elimination pattern that are time related. So there are some children whose elimination pattern revolve around eating, sleeping, and physical activity. So therefore, during the monitoring stage, highlight when your child eat, drinks, sleep, and participates in any kind of physical activity. If you notice that there is a correlation between eating or drinking elimination, increase your child's intake before a scheduled toilet trial. If you find that your child's intakes seem to be scattered throughout the day, try to be more consistent. The more consistent your child's intake is, the more consistent your child's elimination will be, right? How often you should check? If you have the time to check your child's diaper every 30 minutes, this is preferable. However, not everyone has that freedom of checking every 30 minutes because of the busy schedule. Daily life can get in a way of monitoring that frequently. So if you predict monitoring that often, will be hard to keep consistent. So check every hour instead. The most important thing that you keep consistent by checking for wetness throughout the uh, whole day, every day for 2 weeks. If your child has begun the toilet trial already, it can be helpful to indicate when your child eliminates in the toilet and in his pants. For nighttime wetness, it is not necessary to wake your child up for check his just to check his wetness or dryness. The best thing is to check before your child goes to bed and when you go to bed and the first thing in the morning, right? What happen when real life interferes with the monitoring? Like, it is not easy to devote your whole day every day for 2 weeks to monitoring your child's elimination pattern, but it is very important. With knowing your child's elimination pattern, you won't have a good idea. uh, Without knowing your child's elimination pattern, you won't have a good idea for of when to put her on the toilet. Toileting at specific intervals with no consideration for your child's pattern is an option, but it may also decrease your child's chances of having accident success in the toilet. So most children don't immediately understand the connection between potty and elimination. This needs to be developed by rewarding accident success, in which when you put your child on the toilet at the right time. By knowing your child's elimination pattern, you have a better chance of getting her in the right place at the right time. So this does not mean that you have to handedly be in charge of monitoring. If your lifestyle is busy and you doesn't afford time for consistent dryness checks, elicit the help. Okay, so if you have to ask your maid, your babysitter to devote a few more hours a week during the monitoring period to make sure you do a good job of keeping a consistent record, it's well worth it. If your child is an integrated program at school, it may be harder to keep the record accurate during the day, so you can discuss this with your child's teacher or maybe some other educational assistant or the administration. Also, try emphasizing the importance of the monitoring stage in the potty training process, and how much easier it will be for everyone once your child stop wearing the diapers. Next is the analyzing stage, in which by totaling up the total number of times your child urinates and defecate in the day for each day of monitoring. Next, for every time interval, total up the number of elimination your child had within the time period for each week. For example, if you are using 30-minute interval, you would total up the number of pees and poops your child had for the whole week, like between 7:30 to 8:30, next is 8:30 to 9:30, then 9:30 to 10:30, and so on. Next is um, what if the child does not have a regular schedule of the day that child typically goes? So now it's time to put together your child's potty schedule from the potty chart. Pick out, hmm, pick out pick out the 4 5 most likely time your child urinate in the day and most likely 1 to 3 times your child defecate in a day. When scheduling toilet trials, you should make sure not to schedule the toilet trial less than 90 minutes apart. There are numerous opinions regarding how soon you should put him on the toilet before your child's predicted time of elimination. However, you know your child's best. So suggested ranges between 5 to 30 minutes. So choose what you think work for your best for your child. If your child typically has only one poop a day and once she or he poops, discontinue the rest of the bowel trial. Subsequent attempt would likely to be unsuccessful if the child has had stool for the day. If you are finding that her stooling or urination is at a different time, wait a week before changing any schedule. So it is best not to change routines too often. Next is setting up a time-based schedule. Now, there are schedule related to the activity at the same time each day. So, for example, there is a boy urinated 20 minutes after drinking large quantities and 15 minutes after eating some meal. So, therefore, his parents decided to schedule his meal at the same time each day. Next is activity schedule, like activity based schedule, in which schedule potty trial based on how long it takes you to prompt your child to go to the bathroom and how long after the activity she or he typically eliminates. This is something you may have to play around with to get rid right, but aim to begin prompting your child between 5 to 30 minutes before she typically eliminates. Again, if we take an example of Ravi's parents, that they knew that it took him a good 10 minutes to prompt him to go to the bathroom, get undressed, and sit on the potty. So, therefore, his parents scheduled potty trial right after his meals. That way, they'd be able to get him there a few minutes early before he would hopefully have to poop or pee. So, what Ravi's parents found was that taking him to the toilet right after his meals seemed to be a little early. So, typically, what he does is to go off, is he got off the toilet and then eliminated in a diaper a few minutes later. So, his parent modified the plan. They asked like they asked him to help him clean the table right after the dinner, and once all the plates were cleared of the table, he and his mother would go to the bathroom. What his mother found was that waiting a few minutes extra meant that he was able to get him pee on the toilet 2 3 times per day. Once Ravi began regularly eliminating on the potty at these times, he began self-initiating after he finishes helping clear the table at the other times of the day, such as after snack. So next is how you can deal with the accidents. Like accident happens, it is but obvious while training children for toilet. These accident happen. Having an accident help your child to learn what it feels like to be wet and how her body or his body works. However, after the first few days, accident can make you and your child frustrated, which is very natural. The best way to deal with the accident is to act completely neutral. Many researchers or professionals say that even negative attention can be reinforcing. So, by acting anything but neutral may actually be rewarding the negative behavior. So, when an accident happens, clean it up immediately. Never let your child stay in his or her wet clothing, as this will only get him feel wet, used to the feeling wet. Right? So always change your child in the bathroom so that he or she can begin to form the connection between potty and elimination. Now there is something positive practice. Now what is positive practice? While the majority of researchers and professionals agree giving Agree, caregivers should remain neutral after the accident, but there are few different opinions also. Um, some professionals suggest using positive practice rather than simply remaining neutral. So, when your child has an accident, tell him to feel his underwear and confirm they are wet. Next, let him know that big boys wet on the potty only. Take your child to the toilet and have him sit. As soon as your child is sitting, praise him and offer him a reward. Even though your child already eliminated in his diaper, this will help him to form a potty elimination connection. So, this is positive practice. Next is, what if the child doesn't go during the scheduled trial? So, for habit training, there are two choices regarding what to do when your child doesn't go during the toilet trial. Decide whether timed toileting or distributed practices will work best for your child's or your lifestyle and your child based on the information. Like there is something called timed toileting. The basis of the time toileting is to simply put your child on the toilet for 5 minutes at scheduled time of the day. If after 5 minutes your child does not eliminate, remain neutral, prompt your child to get off the toilet, redress, and wait until the next scheduled time to go back to the potty. It is very important that you do not show any negative emotion or frustration or reprimand your child and show any sign of or show any sign of disappointment. So for some children, getting attention even if it is negative will act as a reinforcement for negative behavior. If your child eliminates a few minutes after taking them off the toilet and they don't seem to have any problem sitting on the toilet or longer, it is okay to extend the 5-minute sitting time. Next is distributed practice. Distributed practice is quite similar to the timed toileting only. The only difference occurs when your child failed to eliminate while on the toilet. Take your child to the potty at the scheduled time. If your child doesn't eliminate after 5 minutes, remove your child from the toilet. After you have taken your child off the toilet in a neutral manner, allow him to go back to playing. 10 minutes later, take your child back to the toilet for another 5 minutes sit. If at this point he doesn't urinate or defecate, take him off to the toilet in a neutral manner and allow him to play again until his next scheduled potty trial. If he is already overwhelmed by the toilet training process, the extra trial needed for distributed practice may just further overwhelm him. However, for distributed practices, it is okay to decrease the number of toilet trial to just 2 trials or 3 trials. Next is the independent stage. Now, what are the what is independent stage in which you put your child on the chair next to the toilet without pants on? Praise your child frequently for good sitting. If the child get off the chair and remove onto the potty to potty be ecstatic with the praise and offer reward. If the child has an accident on the chair, do not show any anger or just prompt. Next time, just start your child off on the potty. After the child can remove from the chair to the toilet without prompting, start to move the chair further and further from the toilet and start your child on the chair with his clothing on. Eventually, your child should be able to self-initiate toilet training. Next is intensive training. Now, what is intensive training? Um, Intensive training is a shorter term training method as compared to the habit training. However, it requires a lot more daily work than the habit training. Like most intensive training plans suggest setting aside a period of uh, 3 to 5 days for the toilet training program. However, there is no guarantee that this type of training will necessarily work for that quickly for children with disability. So here are some possible plans which you can use. Like during the short term intensive potty plan, it is good idea to increase your child's intake of liquid. This will increase the number of time your child urinates in a day, give her more chances to have a potty success, um, increase your child's chance to of going during the toilet trial by having her drink something shortly beforehand. Next, prompt your child to get to the bathroom for her or his potty trial. Once your child is seated and on the toilet, wait at least for 10 minutes to see if he or she will eliminate while on the potty. If your child does not eliminate, take the child off neutrally and let him go to play. If your child does eliminate on the potty, praise him, reward him, and then let him go play. Next, after 15 minutes of playing, bring your child back to the toilet. Once your child has had a few success on the potty, the time between the trials can be extended gradually throughout the day. You can increase the time. In the event of an accident, tell your child not to wet his pant and then prompt him to change himself with the help. If you are training an older children, you can also prompt them to help them to prompt him to clean up and messes and any messes that was a result of his accident. Next, begin to do dry pant check to see if your child is staying dry between the potty trials. If your child is dry, praise and reward him for having dry pants and follow this plan for at least 4 to 8 hours a day until your child gets the hang of it. There is another plan that we can try. This plan, unlike the previous one, is only used over 3 day over a 3 day time period. In preparation, restrict your child's favorite drinks a week before beginning your intensive potty program. This will encourage your child to drink more when you offer him favorite drink during the program. So for that, you can begin by prompting your child to sit on the toilet. uh, Next, once your child is seated on the toilet, offer him a drink. Wait for 5 minutes to see if your child will eliminate. If your child does not eliminate, praise and reward your child. If your child doesn't eliminate, act neutral and allow him to go back to the playing. Next, take 10 minutes from the end of the last potty trial. When the 10 minutes timer goes off, take your child to the bathroom again for the next toilet trial. Right? Next is continue this process for at least 30 minutes to 2 hours. Constant potty trial will help your child to make the connection between elimination and the potty. Once you feel your child understand this connection, stop the constant trial. Begin bringing your child to the bathroom every 90 minutes. Do not prompt him to sit on the toilet. Next, have your child sit on the chair next to the toilet without underwear. Do not prompt him to get off the chair and move to the potty. If he or she urinates on the chair, remain neutral, clean it up, and next time start him off on the potty only. If he moves from the chair to the toilet, offer a huge amount of praise and a reward. Once your child is able to move from the chair to the toilet, move the chair farther away. Have your child start seated with his underwear on. Every time your child master a new distance, extend the distance even further and begin your child in the pants rather than the underwear. If your child is toileting fairly successfully, begin randomly checking his pants to see if he is dry. If he is dry, praise him and reward him nicely. If he isn't dry, remain neutral and help him to get him changed the bathroom only. So here's a alternate plan in which we will incorporate both the characteristics or both the like strategies of habit and intensive training. So here is an alternative plan. This plan incorporates both the scheduling pattern of habit training and the routine of intensive training plan. So first is follow the training habit training toileting instruction that explain how to monitor and set out the schedule of scheduled potty trials. If your child has no real pattern, toilet him every 2 hours and adjust the interval based on the length of his period of the dryness. Next, you can when it's time for your child's potty trial, prompt him to the bathroom and put a chair next to the toilet. Seat your child on the chair without underwear for 1 minute while having your child drink as much liquid as possible. Prompt your child to get off the chair, take down his pants, and sit on the toilet. Next, you can have your child sit on the toilet for at least 3 to 5 minutes or until he eliminates. When your child eliminates, praise him and offer him an immediate reward. If your child does not urinate, stay calm, stay neutral, and let him go back to playing for 30 minutes. After 30 minutes, put him back on the toilet. If the second time on the toilet your child still doesn't go, remove him neutrally and wait to toilet again until his scheduled potty trial. Right? So uh-huh. So here are the frequently asked question which I came across. Like there are I have certain parents who ask these question. Like um, it takes quite a while for me to prompt my child to enter the bathroom, take off her pants and sit on the toilet. How close to her predicted time of the elimination should I begin prompting her? So here, if it takes you long time to get your child seated and relaxed on the toilet, your best way is to begin prompting your child every 30 minutes before her predicted time of elimination. Next is my child doesn't seem to be having any many success on the toilet and his pattern have changed quite a bit. Since the monitoring stage, should I reschedule his potty trial to meet his new elimination pattern? So, for this question, the answer would be like if you have been using the same plan for more than a week, uh, you have the freedom to change the toilet trial schedule that suit your child's new elimination pattern, right? And if you haven't been using the plan for the next week yet, give it some more time. And if after a week your child still hasn't settled into the schedule, feel free to change it to the better fit which fit his patterns. Next question, like every time I take my child to the bathroom, we are in the rush to get her on the time and she usually end up either having an accident on the way. So what should I do? So it seems as if you are probably waiting too long before bringing your child to the toilet. Instead, try uh, bringing her a few minutes earlier and see if this makes a difference. If it doesn't seem to make any difference and she is not having any success on the toilet, consider that the child may not be physically ready to start the toilet training. So here you can consult the child support staff and take a break from the process for a while as her body continues to mature. So these were the questions, frequently asked questions and very common questions which parent come with. And I hope the strategies we have discussed in this part would help you in the planning of your child's potty training program. And I also hope the types of toilet training, like intensive and habit training program, the strategies of these programs would help you in your planning process. On behalf of our team, thank you. I would like to thank you all for joining us. And this is Neelam Tripathi signing off. We will come up with the next topic very soon. Thank you for joining us. Have a good day.